welcome to episode 67 of Cinema Curse. Tonight, James Bond Club begins with Dr. No from Russia with Love and the clearly piece of recovered media, the 1950s adaptation of Casino Royale that no one knows about. It's a secret, and we all just found out about it. My name is Connor Lloyd Cruz. I am your Wicked Game Master, and joining me today is Robert.
Hey guys, how are you?
Sky Heaton.
Hey everyone, good to see you.
Luna Nightingale. And Jason Steele.
Hello.
I said and then I looked at my big note at the top of my notes, which is don't so much. I'd like to thank Marina Sakamoto and her band Shunkin for the use of their song Curse off of the EP She Nods for our opening. It's been 755 days since the strike ended and the AMPTP still sucks. How is everybody doing?
Wonderful. Like we're just living in the best days. That's what I say every show, but that's reality. Everything's amazing.
I'm doing good. I had a good Thanksgiving, and as I was saying before, I spent a bunch on Black Friday, so I've got a bunch of goodies coming my way and shows to go see. So yeah, we're in a good mood.
Hell yeah.
I recently got some vintage stationery that has photographs of vintage dolls on it. So expect some of those in the mail,
Nice.
Connor.
Hell yeah. I'm excited.
Just like the theme song to the Lego movie, everything is awesome.
Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and transition. Before we really start talking about Dr. No, I am gonna throw up my Dr. No background, which I'll talk more about later. But what are people's experiences with Bond? You know, I wanted to do this. I'll say this, weird pivot from Twin Peaks.
I don't know what would be like a appropriate pivot.
Yeah, I don't know exactly either. I don't know. X-Files maybe would be probably like.
Yeah. I think this is great.
There's a lot. This is nice because there's going to be it's going to take a similar amount of time. I think it'll be 13 episodes instead of 14. You know, I love Bond movies. As a kid, you know, I was never really into Star Wars. Bond was one of like my big things with like Indiana Jones and Ghostbusters and superheroes and Power Rangers. And to be fair, 4 of those 5 things I still like, and 2 of the 5 I still enjoy seeing new things from. I could probably go without seeing another Indiana Jones or Ghostbusters movie be made, but you know, I don't know why Bond. I guess they switched out actors early enough and often enough that it became almost more mythical. You know, it's like Sherlock Holmes or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are so I grew up with these movies. I love them. Specifically with my dad. These were the big bonding movies with my dad, and yeah.
Yeah, prior to doing this, I've only seen like one Daniel Craig Bond movie, so I'm coming in like fresh faced, no idea what to expect.
Brian, I know you're kind of similar.
Yeah, I'm definitely more with Luna. I've seen a couple of the ones, but just all like later ones. Like I saw the Daniel Craig ones, and then a few of the Pierce Brosnan ones.
Yeah.
I saw GoldenEye in theaters. That was the first Bond movie that I saw.
Oh, yeah.
And after that, the very first CD I ever got was the GoldenEye theme song.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
which I used to sing to myself. And I got really into the movies at that point, watched through all of them. I got my hands on all of them and continued watching them. I feel like over the years I've soured on the movies a little bit, or maybe a lot on some of them. But there's still like a quality to them where a new one comes out and I make sure to watch it.
Yeah.
For me, I am closer to Connor in that. Yeah,
Oh, he muted himself.
sorry. I grew up with these. TNT used to show them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the first Bond movie I saw in theaters was Tomorrow Never Dies. I remember when GoldenEye came out. It came out, if not the same weekend, but around the same time as Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls.
Yeah.
And I was so excited for that one.
That's a good
And then
double.
my friend's dad kept saying, like, now, guys, don't sneak into that Bond thing. And I didn't really know what that was at the time because I was only in, like, fifth grade. I was like, what are you talking about? There's a new Jim Carrey movie out. No one's going to see this fucking Bond thing.
Yeah.
But then eventually saw GoldenEye, like, probably on VHS, and I really liked it. And then, TNT would often do, like, Bond marathons. So I'd watch the older ones. And they all kind of blurred together. Like, I didn't, like, really distinct one from the other. And then come quarantine back in 2020, I went through them all and I watched them all.
Nice.
Which I'd seen most of them. I think there was a couple, like, I think I hadn't seen one of the Dalton ones.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited to go through it again. It's been a minute, but about 5 years. So,
I would guess this is probably at least my fifth watch through of all the movies, and it might be up there. It might be closer. Like, it's like Twin. I guess one of the reasons I guess it makes sense to follow Twin Peaks. It's probably one of the few things I've seen that many times. You know,
Sure.
and can kind of talk about. I will say this: I fucking know these movies way better than I've ever. Like, having to write down the plot of these movies has made me understand. I know characters' names I've never known before. I'm like, oh, that's that guy. Yeah, of course, that's Quarrel. Oh, Strangeways, yeah, that's the guy that got shot. Of course, obviously, Krylenko, it's the Bulgarian. Specifically, moving on to Dr. No, I guess let's talk general thoughts about the movie as we go, maybe, and if somebody has like a big opinion about it, they can do whatever. But we start in Dr. No. They hadn't quite figured out how these openings work. There's like an opening medley, and there's no opening actual like sequence. The credit designs are really cool, and the Maurice Binder credit designs, and I think he did a lot of them for a while, are all very, very cool and fun to look at.
Yeah, it seems like they had an idea, like, oh, we got to do something to start it out. It can't just like begin. You got to get a little show.
Yeah,
but they didn't quite figure out what that show was.
But in true, the movie begins in Jamaica, where it mostly stays, with the killing of MI6 Chief Strangeways and his secretary by guys looking for a file on Dr. No. Then we get a sequence I don't think we've ever gotten in any other Bond film where we see, like, the info reaching him. We see, like, people being like, we got to get this information to MI6. But at the same time, we then cut to Bond way earlier than I think a lot of movies do as well. Maybe some of the newer ones, not so much. But I feel like, to me, the most like common Bond opening staple is the whole thing where you like they kind of make you wait a minute before you really get to see Bond for real. Yeah. But anyways, Bond is introduced playing Baccarat, I think, or no, it's something else actually. I found out it was a different game, but it's something equally confusing that I don't understand, involving a shoe. There's a shoe involved, and they pass a shoe around, and they go bunko. Sometimes you go bunko, and you lose money, and it's great. And he meets Sylvia Trench, who then shows up in his apartment later, and who also is in the next movie at the beginning, which I didn't. That was something like this rewatch. It took me to realize that the girl he meets at the beginning of Dr. No and hooks up with in London is who he's hooking up with at the beginning of From Russia with Love when he gets called in.
I don't think I even picked that up.
Yep.
I had forgotten that the whole James Bond thing was not just like a quirk he has. He was specifically responding to Sylvia Trench, who introduced herself as Trench, Sylvia Trench.
Yeah. It's weird that your first name and your last name are the same. We then get our first Moneypenny and M scenes, where we sort of establish the beginning of the plot that Strangeways was looking into some rocket launch interference, and Bond gets his gun, and we establish the meaning of the 00, which is that he has a license to kill. And
also his superior M talks about what a womanly gun he has.
Oh yeah, they don't like his old gun.
A little girly gun he has. It's like
it's like a gun for handbags, I think is what they say. And then we establish the most important thing in this movie, which is that the Bond theme is for casual strolls.
Lots of casual strolls, yeah.
And that's I think the funniest thing about this movie is that every time the Bond theme, it's always like Bond checking into a hotel or something.
Yeah.
Our Bond.
I will say it works the first time.
Yes.
When like we just see him and he's introducing himself, and then he's like, okay, this is our guy, and he's just walking into his room, and okay, that's the end of this theme.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the time, like you said, later on they figure out you use that during the action scenes, not when he's like, cleaning his shoes or brushing his teeth.
He's taking down the trash, and you're just like, man, it's exciting.
Sorting the recycling.
Yeah, exactly.
Bond is picked up by a guy he clearly knows is a goon. This is in Jamaica now. There's some tussling and some cool stunt driving, and then the guy takes a cyanide pill rather than talk. I'm kind of brushing over. There's a bit more. Some of these early ones, especially. I mean, I guess they all kind of have this, but I feel like these early ones especially have a bit more like gumshoeing and footwork on Bond's part in terms of just like him going around and like looking at things, and it's not really that important to recount every single it's also kind of funny that he's just there essentially because two people got killed, which feels like I know it's kind of interfering with the launch thing, but they wait a while to really establish that as like a threat. Essentially he's just there for a double murder.
Yeah, but I guess I'm a secret agent, so that's why I
guess that makes sense.
Another one.
Hey, I like lower stakes Bond.
I do too. Yeah, I do as well. I like both of these first movies have lower stakes, and I enjoy them quite a bit. At the hotel, they fuck up his martini order. I think he specifically gets it stirred and not shaken in this first one, and then he does like his booby traps. He makes his room so if somebody snoops, he knows that someone's been snooping. Then we meet I think the first in a very long line of Bond allies. Quarrel, played by who plays this fucking guy? It's on the poster. It's John Kitzmiller. Bond gets a tip to check out this dude he thinks he's bad for a minute, but he turns out to be a buddy of Felix Leiter. Basically, this guy was taking Strangeways out boating, and they sort of discuss. He gets more into it, and we meet Felix Leiter for the first time, which is another important Bond buddy. It's James Bond's American CIA friend who appears briefly in a bunch of movies, and then more substantially portrayed by Jeffrey Wright in the half of the Daniel Craig films.
Yeah.
They discuss sort of looking at the coast, looking into the interference Strangeways is looking into. For a lady shows up taking pictures of them, and they sort of put an end to that, and then they agree to check out Crab Key, a local spot with weird legends. I remember she was racist to Coral also for some reason. I was like, come on, lady. Why don't you chill out? I understand you're working for a bad guy. We don't gotta be weird about it.
But they say that you go woke.
Yeah.
Bro.
Bond visits one of Strangeways' friends, Dent, and asks about some soil samples. The guy is clearly being cagey, and then we see him sort of head off to tattle to Dr. No, and we get to see parts of the lair, including this one really crazy room with like German expressionist shadows. That was almost my background also. I love that. That set design is also incredible. I think that's maybe my favorite thing about this first movie is the Ken Adams set design.
Yeah, the set design is like really, really good. What I love particularly about these two movies is that it's so vibrant and there's so much personality in these sets.
Yeah. Yeah, I also think like 60s film stock specifically looks really good as like maybe the most beautiful film ever looked, in my opinion, weirdly. If you know people who know film, it's like there's a weird thing where like film always looks different every decade just because of like processing and the way things are made and whatnot. I don't know. I like 60s and the 4K restorations we were watching of these were really good. And I don't think they've released them on physical disc, and they should.
I think the Connery ones have been.
Okay, I know the Craig ones have also, just because they're new. But every new movie gets released on 4K. So, Dr. No gives Dent a spider to kill Bond with because Bond villains are not really known for, efficiency.
Practicality.
Yeah, practicality. The Bond theme is still for casual strolls.
You better believe it.
What about the spider? I want to, before we move on, state that I really, really, really like that when he hits the spider when he's killing it. Oh, you got that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So they're coming up. Okay.
We have that right now. His hotel was snooped upon. He finds out, which I don't think really matters. But later that night, his spider senses tingle as he senses the spider on his nude flesh, and then kills it with several orchestral trumpet hits.
Yeah, I was going to say the musical cues are like the exact same as like when Mickey Mouse is chopping up the broom in Fantasia.
That's great. Bond tests Strangeways' boat and finds some radioactivity. Quarrel, we sort of get mentioned there's a dragon on Crab Key, apparently. Then we have this sort of aside, this little section where we kind of just take a little break from the main story to have Bond kind of flirts with this evil secretary, Miss Taro. He kind of goes visits her. He's chased on the way up to her mountain apartment. That's another thing where, yeah, they even stop the theme when the chase starts because the theme is for him casually driving, not for the chase.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's a pretty good car crash at the end. Taro is clearly expecting Bond to be dead. Bond might be suspicious, but he'll still pork her, is what I wrote. Even later, Bond catches Dent, who was behind this whole ruse, trying to kill him, basically on Dr. No's orders. And then we finally head off. I think it was probably the midpoint of the movie, if I had to guess. Crab Key, Bond and Quarrel head in and have some sort of... They have like a time limit that gets kind of established really small here, where like Cape Canaveral is doing another rocket launch soon. and then because they're in such a hurry, they decide to take a nap on the beach. I don't understand why they didn't sleep before going.
They had to get there, beat traffic, take a nap, and then...
Then we're introduced to Ursula Andress's Honey Rider, and also the fact that everybody in this movie knows only one song, that Mango Tree song. Everyone's fucking singing through this whole thing. And she basically just she gets pulled in by association as like No's boats show up and they're like, hey, this lady's with them. And then there's a great crab waddles on by the camera and steals the show, the star of the film. For a while here, they're being hunted on the island, have to use reeds to hide in the water, that kind of stuff. There's also some like Honey Rider backstory stuff. No might have killed her father, and some like sexual assault backstory. And Bond kind of scorns her for taking revenge, which is a weird moment that I didn't care for. And then we meet the dragon, and it's basically just like a big tank with like dragon stuff painted on it. And Bond just like kind of like shoots it with a gun, and it's fine. But it does toast Coral, and but they capture the white people. In his lair, we get, I think one of the more explicit things that have been referenced in Austin Powers from this film, which is the conveyor belt shower, which I think the opening of the first, not the opening, but in the first Austin Powers when he's unfrozen, they do that similar like conveyor belt, like getting him ready. Mm-hmm. And they get shown to some nice rooms with some nice reception, but it's all bugged and they're locked in, and the coffee is drugged, which I don't really understand. Because they don't even move them or anything. I guess No just wanted to like walk in and get a good look at them. I think there might be certain things in here. I know there's something that happens in a little bit, where something happens in the movie that is adapted from the book, but some of the context from the book has been removed, and so it doesn't make as much sense. We're almost actually right at it, but before that, they have dinner with the doctor. Whatever you want to say about this movie, they got the villain layer right in one. Again, that Ken Adams set design is great. No gets into his backstory, which is pretty typical crime guy stuff. His hands are all fucked up from radiation, and he works for Spectre, trying to topple American missiles. Bond gets his ass beat and thrown in a cell, but he's able to break out by crawling through some crazy tubes. This is the part I mentioned in the book. This is like Dr. No doing an experiment on Bond, like Cube style almost. Like flooding it with water and all this stuff and making the things hot. And in the movie, it's just kind of like, well, I guess this is just what these. I guess this is what this does. I don't know. Bond disguises himself as a worker and heads into this incredible control room set that is behind me. I wish I could go back in time and walk around it. It's really, really cool. They're trying to do villain stuff. Bond gets called out to do his job, but he decides to start goofing around and blowing shit up. Dr. No and him fight, and No falls into some radioactive water and dies. The rocket launch is successful. Yay, America. It only took Bond creating another Chernobyl, presumably. I don't know what's everyone's just like freaking out on the island as Bond and Honey escape. And then the end of the movie, Bond and Honey fuck in a boat. And later comes to rescue them, but they decide they would rather keep fucking in the boat.
Valid.
And yeah, I like Dr. No. It's a little proto-y, but I like these 60s films. I think overall are my favorite of like all the Bond films, and so even this one, which isn't necessarily my favorite of these, is still like a lot of fun.
It's certainly like, okay, I can see why this took off.
Yeah, definitely.
Great, right off the bat. Yeah, like we said, even if it doesn't quite know what it is, it still has a general idea, and like it still feels like it. I'd say for the first three, what I like about them is they each keep getting better.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a great start.
I think there's some real solid filmmaking on display here.
Yeah.
You brought up the pipes in the water and stuff, and like although like there might not be an explanation for it. Like I'd like from a filmmaking standpoint, like just him bracing himself and the water rushing over him. Just as I'm watching that scene, I'm like, man, it's nice watching movies in which characters are actually interacting with a real physical environment, and there's like an effect happening that's happening because they had to pump a bunch of water in, and it's good stuff.
Apparently, in the car chase scene, Connery insisted on driving it himself at certain points, and he almost died. he almost got his head chopped off, basically. But
also, I think James Bond should wear a hat more often.
Yeah.
Sean Connery would occasionally wear a hat. I think James Bond should wear a hat.
I think James Bond should wear a Kangol.
What about like a bucket hat? I think that a bucket hat might fit well.
I think we're saying the same thing with different words, basically.
I don't know. Isn't a Kangol different? I don't know. Fuck on.
Well, unless if we have any final Dr. No thoughts, speak now or forever hold your peace.
I do want to talk a little bit about the outfits
Also,
in
yes.
the film, like specifically the outfit of like Dr. No and his incredibly cunty glasses.
I also like Bond's little baby blue outfit that he's wearing when he first comes to the coast. It kind of reminds me of the outfit Benoit Blanc is wearing in Glass Onion when he's poolside with the little shorts.
Oh yeah.
No, James Bond can rock an ascot.
Yeah. Well, for the first time, we're gonna go to.
Oh, grow up, 007.
Here's a picture of my dad from back in the day when he had his John Denver hair. This is a section called Dad Thoughts that's going to be part of every episode where my dad, who I grew up watching his movies with, is going to write some stuff. I did some minor copy editing on it just to fit my speech style a little more. But for the most part, this is basically exactly what my dad wrote about these movies. I was a preteen when the first Bond movie was released in 1963 and did not get to see it in a theater. I don't even recall hearing that much about it at the time. 20 years later, I became a big 007 fan. I think that both of these first two are well made, especially considering when they came out. Special effects were minimal. I think he means like digital effects, that kind of stuff. Both are better than many of the later Bond films, and Sean Connery is the classic James Bond, the best of all the actors who have portrayed him, at least in my opinion. And then here's something very debatable, I think he says. The Bond girls in these two films are probably not as convincing nor as alluring as later Bond girls, which I would agree with when it comes to Tanya and From Russia with Love. But he does say that both Joseph Wiseman and Robert Shaw as the antagonists are very convincing. And he also shouts out Q getting introduced in From Russia with Love, because that's why I had a little Q quote. My dad loves Q. Overall, I would rank these two films in the top third of all the Bond films, and I like them both very much. So that's pretty. I largely agree with the things that he is saying. But speaking of From Russia with Love, let's move on to that one. These motherfuckers were like the Saw movies in the 60s, like one every year. This one is also very, you texted me, I think you were watching it, Jason, like From Russia with Love is very Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It is also weirdly, what's kind of weird about it compared to Dr. No is it's actually like, I mean, there is some pretty spectacular stuff, so don't get me wrong. But at the same time, the plotting is also like more of like a real spy thriller-y in a way. There's like a lot more like subterfuge and like a bunch of interested parties and things like that, you know? Like in Dr. No, it's pretty straightforward. It's like, oh, something's going on here. We gotta go check it out. You know, and in this one, it's like everyone's kind of lying to each other, and there's like double lies and people who are pretending to be one person and lying, but also lying about this thing and that kind of stuff, you know? And because when I was a kid, like I didn't know like the Bulgarians, like that shit. I was like, I don't know, there's some bad guys, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
But From Russia with Love starts with Robert Shaw's Donald Grant hunting down what appears to be 007, but is actually a Leica look, wearing a fucking Mission Impossible style mask, and a great opening, and again a great theme, great title design. It's also Terrence Young's. That's something I'm paying attention to this time as well. Terrence Young directed both of these first two movies, and I believe he would direct two more of the 60s ones or something like that. we're introduced to 2 new agents of Spectre. Kronstein, number 5, as he finishes up a big game of chess, and Rosa Klebb, number 3. We also kind of meet Blofeld for the first time, but we definitely meet his cat, who I assume is played by different actors. What's funny is the guy who was playing Blofeld on set, holding the cat, is the guy who played Strangeways, the guy who dies at the top of Doctor No.
Wow.
Who sets all the stuff in motion. Spectre wants to steal a Lecter decoder. I don't know. A spy. What's it called?
Smash it.
Yeah. What's it called? MacGuffin. Yeah. I don't know why it took me so long to think of that. They want to steal a Lecter decoder from Russia, and they're going to manipulate MI6 and a Russian gal to do it. Plus, they want revenge on Bond for killing Dr. No. Something that's... These first movies are, like, kind of connected. They all pretty much work by themselves, but it's not like, you know, it's not like later... It's not like when they tried to do it in the Daniel Craig movies, and it's like, you know, I've planned this all from the beginning, James Bond, kind of stuff. It's more or less like a bunch of incidents. Kronstein thinks that MI6 will know it's a trap, but will treat a trap as a challenge. And then Grant gets called in while he's being lathered up. That's Robert Shaw. And there's a great training facility sequence where we just see Spectre training people to shoot guns and flamethrowers and shit. We meet our Russian gal, Tanya Romanova. Meets up with Klebb, who she still thinks is a Russian intelligence. And she's being used by Klebb to seduce Bond to help him steal the Lecter. So basically, Tanya thinks that Tanya basically thinks that it's a ruse to set up Bond, but she thinks it's a Russian ruse, which is what MI6 ends up thinking as well. They don't see the fact that Spectre is in fact the one behind it, which I think is part of what gets into like the more like what makes the plot a little more complicated, is that there's like a couple of different parties going on in a lot of the sequences, especially towards the middle. Bond, we meet him. They know to wait now. He's with Trench again, but he gets called off to work in a sequence. It reminds me of it's like a bit in Eastbound and Down, where he's like talking to some girl he's having sex with, and he's like, yeah, you know, I gotta head off early today, so you know, like I might be able to flip it and whatever, I'm gonna be able to rub it down, and you know, like I might not be the only one getting off today. Like, sorry about that. That's what he should have said. At MI6, M and Bond agree it's a trap, though they think it's the Soviets, as I said. And then we meet Q, played by Desmond Llewellyn, the man in the most Bonds. My fave. No, he's in 17 of the now 25 movies, which is a lot. He is in all the films from here to The World Is Not Enough, with I think the exception of the first Roger Moore one. Bond gets a cool briefcase with a bunch of little things in it, but the main thing is a kind of a smoke grenade booby trap. And then we get like a more appropriate use of the theme when he writes the "From Russia with Love" sort of sarcastically on the picture of Tanya, and hands it off to Moneypenny. In Istanbul, we established the lighter code phrases. There's like a kind of back and forth that Bond and some of the other MI6 agents do. But we see that Shaw and another man, this man with a mustache, are watching, but the driver is aware, because basically everybody in Istanbul just kind of keeps tabs on each other, and they know that they keep tabs on each other, and they're all just like, yeah, it's fine. It just works like that here. And then Bond meets the best dude ever, one of my favorite of his allies, Kareem Bey, who treats his job as head of Station T as a family business. All of my key employees are my sons. I took out like how many references it, but like multiple times throughout the rest of the film, there'll be like a young man who shows up like in a guard outfit, and you're like, oh, they're gonna bust him, and Kareem's like, no, that's my son. Actually, it's fine. I'm a huge natalist, and he also used to be a circus freak. Spectre makes some moves. Grant kills the Russian spy, and the Russians blame the Brits, which gets retaliation. Kareem Bay's office gets blown up. I do love. There's some really funny dialogue in this one. I think the when Bay's whoever it is, whatever the girl he's shtipping. It's like, come on, stop doing work, come over here. And then he's just like, all right, back to the salt mines. I like that bit. And then afterwards, when Bay is saying to Bond, like, oh yeah, she ran out of here after the explosion, and Bond's like, oh, she found your technique too violent. It's just a funny one. But yeah, the Russians took the bait. Bay and Bond go sailing in the cistern. I forget I have the name written down later. During the games, actually. It's this little like waterway. A lot of these scenes down here remind me of like the Venice stuff in Indiana Jones 3. Feels like it was also pulled from a lot of this stuff. There's a cool snooper device, like an old subscope. They used to spy on the Russians. And we find out a Bulgarian named Krylenko planted the mine. And then in a section I've labeled Eat, Pray, Love, Bond and Bay lay low with Bay's Romani friends. But Krylenko predicted this. But first, Bond enjoys a little culture. A cat fight. They do essentially depict the Romani as like Klingons here, which isn't the best representation. But I do like that. Like I do like that Bond's like chill with it, and he's just like, this is cool. Like I like hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck yeah, I'll watch some belly dancing. This rips. The Bulgarians ambush them. We get the great fight theme, which I wish they should bring back for modern Bond movies. The great fight theme. Our heroes come out on top. A little help from a hidden Robert Shaw, and then Bond settles the girl fight by porking them both. Call me.
That's his answer to everything.
That's his answer to everything. I mean, he's everyone loves him.
Yeah.
Everyone's
it's effective.
It is effective. There's a big poster for a movie called Call Me Buana, which I've never heard of before. But I guess it was also produced by Saltzman and Broccoli, or at least one of them. That's why there was why it was on there. But Bond and Bay basically stake out Krylenko. He tries to escape through this giant poster through Anita Ekberg's lips, but Bay shoots him. And then I think my favorite, I understand why it doesn't hold up all the way, but it's a really funny line. The she should have kept her mouth shut.
I think it works.
Yeah,
I get why like it's dated, but no, it's a great one.
Yeah. Back in the bridal suite, Tanya is waiting for Bond. She's looking great in a choker, as regulars disagree with my dad. But they're being filmed. Also, the scene implies that Bond has a fat cock.
Why do you think it's so effective?
Hagia Sophia, the Russian spy from earlier, is there trying to intercept the floor plan Tanya is dropping off, but Grant kills him before he can. And then later, on a ferry, Bond and Tanya talk about how the Lecter napping is to take place. And there's a pretty funny gag here also where she's being very lustful towards Bond, and then they cut to all the brass back at MI6 listening, and he almost tells some sort of story about M, which flusters him. The Bond theme is once more for casual strolling as Bond checks in at the Russian consulate where the clocks are always on time. A bomb runs distraction for Bond so he can grab the machine, which he's doing a day early just in case. Bond Bay and Tanya get the Lecter and scram through the cistern. This sequence especially reminds me of Indy 3, like all the rats and stuff. And we get to some train time. Our gang gets on the Orient Express. They're followed by another Russian and also Grant. Bond playfully shows off her new clothes. Bay and Bond subdue the Russian. Tanya is doing a mustache with her hair. Later, we find out that Bay has been killed. Bond suspects Tanya, but like what her part in all this is. But she's kind of fully in it at this point. You don't really get super far into it, but it kind of makes sense. I mean, like Club was being an asshole to her earlier. So I can see why she was just like, you know what, fuck Russia, fuck Spectre. I don't even know who's bossing me around. It's Bond time, baby.
It is kind of just like, oh, I guess I'm on this side now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, if it happened after she found out she was being manipulated by Spectre, then it definitely makes sense. But it does happen a little early. But I don't know. I guess he's just that good, you know. Grant stalks Bond and overhears the code phrases. Someone from Station Y, which I think is Yugoslavia, will meet him in Zagreb, which we get to via indie movie style travel. But Grant assumes the identity of the agent from Station Y, a man named Nash, and probably my favorite sequence of the film, where we finally get to hear Robert Shaw talking. So they've been hiding his voice up till now. Bond sorts his luggage as Nash takes Tanya to dinner, where Nash spikes her drink and orders a bad food combo that tips off Bond. He orders the wrong wine. Bond's like, this fucker. I know this fucker. This
Gotta
fucker.
go.
He's ordering the wrong wine. Tanya faints back in their rooms, and Bond confronts Nash. Nash momentarily tricks him before getting the upper hand. He has the sex tape that was made earlier of Bond and Tanya, and Spectre is going to use it to frame Bond for everything. But then Nash is then himself tricked into getting gassed in the face, and there's a great fight where Bond wins, obviously, because it's a James Bond movie and not a Robert Shaw movie. Train time ends with when Bond and Sleepy Tanya get off at Nash's stop and commandeer his exit. The Bond theme plays, and he's actually kind of in danger this time. We get the big helicopter scene. Big helicopter, secret agents finds them, and we get a pretty fun action scene. It's clearly the Scottish. I checked this. It's the Scottish Highlands is where they're filming. It's not supposed to be the Scottish Highlands, but like when you're watching it, it's like pretty obviously. It looks like those. They're swooping, tossing grenades at him. Clearly a scene also, I confirm this, was influenced by North by Northwest. But he's able to snipe one of the grenades out of the hand of the guy up there, and it falls in the chopper and blows up. And so I must say that James Bond 1, Helicopters 0. We then get a little aside here where number 5 is killed because I guess this was his plan and it failed, and 3 is on her last chance. She's on thin ice. We think she's going to be the one that gets killed. And Blofeld,
especially 5. 5 is pretty cocky that entire time.
Yeah. He's pretty cocky the whole movie. I understand why they killed him.
Yeah, no, I get it.
There's a boat scene. Bond and Tanya use their fuel tanks to blow up their pursuers in a big boat chase, engulfing them in a fire holocaust, which is a funny moment. Like, it's funny how much it lingers on the bad guy is just like freaking out on the boats. And more indie. It also reminds me of some of the Indy 3 stuff. I think Indy 3 pulls a lot from this, especially the first half. Then Hotel, another scene that's definitely referenced in Austin Powers when Mini-Me is like at the hotel and Austin fights him. I feel like the vibe of that room is very similar. Kleb shows up disguised as a maid. Tanya intervenes, and Kleb and Bond have a chair v foot knife fight. She has a knife at the tip of her foot. Then Tanya kills Kleb, and Bond has the great line, "She's had her kicks." And then we get the Venice ending where they're getting filmed. Another funny line where he says, "Not again." Bond trashes the sex tape. And then we get that full version of the... which is weird. They did it this time, and then they don't really do this again, where... and they kind of do it in Honor Majesty's Secret Service, where they had the opening was like an instrumental, but then the actual song is like later in the movie. And yeah, in the credits, they're teasing Blofeld. They credit him as question mark. Who played him?
That's right. Yeah.
And they do set up that James Bond will return in Goldfinger. And oh yeah, this behind me, this was when the helicopter crashed. It's been a pretty good shot too.
Yeah.
Well, what people think about this one? This is one of my favorite ones. Actually, I gotta be honest. This is top 3 for me. I think it's my number 3 specifically. And I like that it's like really fresh and new, and it's like kind of figured out the stuff, but it hasn't figured it out enough that it's become like codified. Like there's some weirdness to like the structure here that by the time you start getting to like Goldfinger, it starts becoming a little more, like each movie follows like a much more similar structure. But like the big, like the big fights in this are just like, him in a room or him in a train car and things like that, there is the shit behind me, obviously. But what do y'all think?
Yeah, I like it. Not quite as much as you, but it does feel like still a sequel to Dr. No, in that like, oh, they kind of like this Bond stuff, but they don't quite know if it's going to be like a series, like you said, like the traditions have not been quite placed yet. I think Goldfinger is when it finally becomes what the series is. So yeah, it's still fun to watch it find itself, and I like the action in this one. It's, like I said, I think they keep getting better for the first 3, so it's really fun to watch them back to back.
Yeah, I love that fist fight between him and Shaw in the train car. It's really good.
Personally, in comparison to like Dr. No, I'm all about dialogue, and From Russia with Love has like some of my favorite quotes from these first 2 movies.
Yeah. Like
the one that keeps popping back into my mind is James Bond and Tanya sitting in a room together, and Tanya says something along the lines of, "My parents call me Tanya," after saying her full name, and James Bond is like, "Well, my parents call me James Bond." And I really like the implication that James Bond's parents just call him James Bond.
I do too.
And there, as you've already stated, there's a ton of really, really great lines. I think the character dialogue is more memorable than Dr. No for me in particular. And yeah, this is just great dialogue.
Jason?
I'm probably going to be like the naysayer of the group. I don't really like this movie.
Oh, really? Interesting.
There's stuff in it that I do like Karen Bay, I think, is one of the best Bond characters like of any of the movies. Like I love him every time he's on screen. Like the actor is just phenomenal. Yeah.
He passed away the year this was released. Also, he got sick.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
great performance. Like I like Shaw's all of his like train stalking stuff. I think that's all really good. I think, especially in like the earlier Bond films, there's like varying levels of misogyny present, and I feel like it's particularly strong in this movie. A lot of like outside, with the exception of Klebb, I feel like all of the women are kind of written as children. Like a lot of the ways that they act in the world, and a lot of the ways they act with James in particular, is very infantilized, and it rubs me wronger in this movie than it did in Dr. No and that it does in some of the other ones, just because of how many of these characters show up and how many of them like have that kind of personality trait. You know, Sean Connery also is someone who would assault women in real life, and the books like have a lot of deep misogyny in them, and I just think a lot of it bleeds through in here. Like even a lot of the quips, like even the good quips, like should have kept her mouth shut. Your technique was too violent. Like they're all like that era of misogyny. Even if they're good lines, that's still where they're springing from. And I think there is too much of that. And that on top of the fact that I just never really got a good grasp on like Tanya's motivations. Like by the end, I understand where she's at, but I don't really see the arc. And I don't see the arc with James in terms of like, he very clearly throughout most of the movie is like doing the mission and just saying what she wants to hear in order to keep her coming along. And then at some point we're meant to believe that he like has stronger feelings for her, but I never really get like the transition. So like the character work, I just felt that a little lacking. So I don't love this movie, but it does have some sections that I think are genuinely like very memorable and well put together.
That's fair. I mean, a lot of these like sexist accusations, I think, are things that can be pretty much leveled at most of the movies in different ways.
Yeah,
to be fair,
I agree. Like I think like these elements
and there's something
existed
that
in
probably we won't super dive into every single time. Not that this isn't me being like, you shouldn't have done this. I think it's great. More so that just like it's one of those things where it's like at a certain point it's going to be like a similar beat.
Oh yeah, I mean it is almost every movie, but not every movie, but almost every movie. But I just find it like bad enough in this movie that it soured the film for me a bit.
Yeah. Once you get to the Craig movies, it's a lot. It's better, I feel like. I mean, it's not necessarily the best or anything, but comparatively, Scott can't believe it. Look, his thing froze. Oh, the thing froze for a minute where your like eyes were closed like this, as if you were like shaking your head.
Also, I don't understand why that guy at the beginning has a James Bond mask on.
I don't know.
This is a complete nitpick, but the more I think about that, I'm like, why would they do this? Why would they go through the expense if they're going to kill this guy? Why does this actually help the other guy train with the guy having a Bond face?
Yeah,
absolutely. Otherwise, you wouldn't know who to kill.
And
because he's not. That wouldn't help the guy act more like James Bond. This is complete nonsense. It's a
maybe the masks wouldn't have been in the Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
I think the question now is James Bond good at chess?
I don't know if that's something we ever find out. We know he's good at cards.
Yeah.
Because of Casino
Well, if he's
Royale.
good at gambling, then
Yeah.
that's kind of a completely different thing.
It is
from chess.
Yes. Yeah. Well, any final from Russia with Love thoughts? What do you got? But let's move on real quick to Bond music rankings. I got a different. Y'all can't see it. but the people at home can see. We've got a little tier list: S tier, A tier, B tier, C, D, and F. And we've got 3 songs to rank. We're going to continue this every episode. We can basically start in any order we want to. It's the opening medley from Dr. No, the instrumental version of From Russia with Love, and then the version of From Russia with Love with vocals. Does anybody have any strong feelings about any of these? No?
No.
Well, I would say, I think I'm between 2 levels for each of them. And I guess we'll start at the top. I think the version of From Russia with Love with vocals is either S tier or A tier, is really near the top. What do you guys think?
Which is higher, S or A?
S is the very top.
Okay.
It's S, then it's basically the like grade, like high school, A, B, C, D, F, essentially.
I'd give that one an A.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd put that at A. I wouldn't. I don't think it's quite S, but
I'm cool with that just because there are some really famous big songs coming up.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it quite gets to
Yeah. Any objections?
the very top.
No, I'm good with that.
Cool. What about I feel like if that's A, I feel like the instrumental theme has to be B.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Because it is very good, but those lyrics are great, and I think that's the better version of the song.
yeah.
All right, I'm gonna put that shit there. I made some little pictures. I had to upload 5 pictures into the tier maker, the tier list maker, and so I put one of Neil Breen and one of Robert Stack with a collie also on there. All right, lastly, Dr. No, the Dr. No medley. I think it's definitely not F tier because it's not like bad to listen to, but it's pretty low down there. I would say
I'd put it C.
Yeah, that works for me because
Like a demo.
what was that?
Like a demo.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
And the only reason it's not a D is because it has that 3 blind mice that does kind of just like leave the whole
Each individual part is actually pretty good. It's more so I think it's just
it's
kind
not
of a
bad by
weird
any
lumpy
means.
medley,
Yeah.
I think if this was just like a one-off movie from the 60s and I watched it, I would be like, that was some interesting music stuff they did at the beginning, like conceptually. But, when you take it in the view of the whole franchise and all of the music in it, it's, C tier.
All right. Well, unless there's any objections, so we got no S tiers yet, no D or F either, but we got the From Russia with Love with vocals in A, From Russia with Love instrumental in B, and Dr. No in C. This is basically exactly what I thought. This is perfect.
We nailed it.
We might have to eventually do like a special episode and rank. I wonder. We might have to rank the whatchamacallits, like the unused themes, like Johnny Cash's Thunderball and like Radiohead's Spectre and stuff. Let's see. And then lastly for this episode, sorry.
As a warning, by the time we get to GoldenEye, I'm just going to be singing the GoldenEye theme.
I'm good with that too.
I got that on vinyl and CD. I have that on 2 formats.
There's some great songs. I mean, to be honest, I feel like by the end, there's not going to be. I feel like there's maybe only like 2 F tiers. To be totally honest, like there's not there. There's like most of the songs are pretty fun. There's like there's even like the shittier ones. I don't think are like miserable necessarily.
And the series. It was one of my favorite parts of going through the series. Is like no matter what I thought about the movie, it was fun to hear the song at the beginning.
And it's always fun, I think, how, and this is something you see this starting with From Russia with Love, where they use that as a theme in the movie too, which I think it makes sense, but it's like it's nice because it gives each movie it feels consistent throughout the movie, you know? Like it sets the sort of tone and melody of the film in a way I think is interesting. But speaking of tone and melody, let's talk about this bozo behind me, fucking Barry Nelson as Jimmy Bond. So I think whoa. We had an echo on your end. Scott. I can hear myself perfectly being repeated back to me. Okay, I think it's better now. When you stood there, the way my voice was being reflected upon your Marvel hoodie made it perfectly come back into the microphone. We talked about the first two movies, but these were not, in fact, the actual first adaptation of Bond. It's this fucking guy behind me. It's in the 50s. There is a TV show called Climax, which was an anthology show that was sort of like suspense mystery thrillers. You know, think like, you know, like I think it's like a Twilight Zone, but you know, instead of creepy sci-fi weirdo stuff, it's you know, shit like a James Bond book essentially. And it's also recovered. The original version is in color, among other things. And I got to be honest, I've heard about this for years, and I watched it, and guess what? Kind of sucks.
Super boring. It was so boring.
One thing I wish the other Bond movies had done, I wish they had opened with a guy explaining the themes of the movie you're about to see.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, this is the harping on the shoe. We get it. We get a. I have like a short summary of that because there's not a lot that happens. Basically, Act 1, someone tries to shoot Card Sense Jimmy Bond outside the casino. That's right, it's American Jimmy Bond. He meets with his British pal, Clarence Leiter. And there's a lot of stuff about Baccarat and how it works. I don't understand fucking any of it. Le Chiffre is there, who would be more famously played later by Mads Mikkelsen in Casino Royale. And he's Valerie Mathis, who's kind of a composite character of Vesper Lind, the Eva Green character, and Rene Mathis, the like French guy who kind of helps them out earlier in the film, in the story. But the they're up to something, Chef and Valerie. But the good guys are there to stop Le Chiffre by cleaning them out in the cards. We find out Valerie Mathis has a history with Jimmy. His room is bugged when he plays some loud music. It sounds like the One Battle After Another score. It's a bunch of just like random like piano jazz. But yeah, she was sent up as bait. They play pretend. And later Jimmy gets a phone call warning him that Val will be killed if he wins the Baccarat game. Every time they say Baccarat, they say it like Baccarat. Say it very special, not Baccarat. Clarence, there's some business here with him getting held up, but cleverly getting the money away from him. Also bankrolling Jimmy, which is a consistent thing throughout these every adaptation of Casino Royale. That Felix, the lighter character, is always bankrolling Bond partially. The game begins. What the fuck is happening? Bunko, baby! This is the longest scene I've ever seen. That's what I wrote down. It's what, like, because the new Casino Royale, the adaptation, like, changes it wisely, I think, to Texas Hold'em, a game that people understand now. Did people know Baccarat back then? Were people like, oh yeah, I got it completely? Like I
think it was more common.
When he goes like bunko, and then the guys are like, oh man, what the fuck? He said bunko. It's really funny.
Yeah, I don't think you would have played Baccarat like even back then unless you went to maybe a higher scale place.
Yeah, I don't think it's like I feel like it would have been more like just like 5-card stud or something would have made more sense, you know. But more like traditional forms of poker. I will say Texas Hold'em is like the great card game in my opinion. Like that is like the great, like that type of card game. Like I think Hold'em kind of figured it out.
I used to do tournaments.
It's a good ass game. It's a fun game. Jimmy gets some money, assumed to be British, and I have a bunch of question marks in this sentence. I think, because I don't understand what's going on in the game, I think that Lashif goes in all in and busts. I think that's what happens.
Yeah, because I thought, based on the way it played out, that Lashif had won, but then very clearly it becomes apparent he hadn't won.
Yes.
So I was also confused. Yes.
Jimmy is held up by a gunbrella, but breaks free. Apparently, the money was actually Valerie's, and they don't know where she is. A little detail I had to rewind, like rewatch later. I guess Jimmy hides the check from all his winnings in the hotel door before Lashif shows up with his buddies. We find out Val is a French agent. This is sort of the Renee Mathis backstory, getting kind of stuff. And then we get a commercial break, which is funny because it was like 40 minutes in, and then we got our first commercial break. I was like, oh, okay. I think part of that is like there's stuff missing, because then it also cuts to there's an Act 3 title card and there's been no Act 2 title card so far. So you're like, what? Jimmy is tortured by Lashif, but it's far less ball centric than both the book and the more modern adaptation, which I give a boo to. I guess
this Lashif's is more a defeat.
Yeah, and he's also like it's like 1950s torture porn. Is he just it's like he's just doing it over money or something. Like I feel like I guess is Lashif doing it later for money? It feels like there's usually like a little more to it. Like it's like this one, it really just feels like he's like, I want that money back, bro. Like, give me the money you got from me, dude. And then I also really I tried to make it to a sound, but it was like the audio is so weird. But when he goes like, Valerie, shut up! At that one point is really funny. Our heroes awkwardly break out and ambush Lashif and his goons. There's some back and forth, mainly involving a razor blade that was kind of set up earlier. But eventually, Jimmy just shoots Lashif. It's very interesting. That's basically the end. That's the end. That's the end of the story, essentially. We get some shit about the next episode and like a PSA. He says he talks very seriously about something. It's like a 1950s equivalent of like, don't let your kids get into crypto or something. But I don't, it was the meaning was lost to time. I don't understand what he's talking about. And it's very something I also looked into is that Dr. No kind of invented the sort of sound design of that type of action movie, and watching this you can definitely tell, because like when they're scuffling and it just sounds like people in an empty room lightly touching each other, you know. And then Dr. No was the first movie to really have that like exaggerated sound design.
Yeah, and having all of the gunshots be ricochet sounds.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Stuff like that.
But yeah, I would not recommend this to anyone unless you're a James Bond completionist. It's fine. I mean, it's not like it's 50 minutes, so you know.
It does have one really good line where after James Bond, where Jimmy Bond is shot at, some guy says, "Hey, aren't you the fellow who was shot?" And Jimmy says, "No, I'm the fellow who is missed."
They're yeah.
I do like that.
There's one or two, you know. Obviously, the fact that Peter Lorre is playing Lashif, you know, he's not. I wouldn't say it's the best Peter Lorre like performance I've ever seen. I would say he seems, I don't know, maybe a little tired, maybe like he's phoning it in a little, but you know, it's so cool to see. I mean, you love to see.
He got there that morning, and he's already had like 8 drinks.
Yeah. But yeah. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about it. I'm glad I finally watched it. It's an interesting piece of like, you know, ephemera to the side, but there's not a lot of like substance to it. It's interesting. There's other things that are like this we're gonna get to eventually. The late '60s Casino Royale, Never Say Never Again, and those I think there's gonna be more to dive into probably. This it is more just like, oh, okay. I guess I guess that's just how it goes, huh? I guess they just did this thing, and yeah, it would be like I said, Scott and Luna, y'all should watch it after Casino Royale because it would be interesting to see how they sort of adapted it because again, the movie adaptation of Casino Royale with Daniel Craig is pretty close to the book, definitely closer than this TV adaptation. But this TV adaptation is closer than the movie, which has basically nothing to do with the book. That's a whole other can of worms. But are we ready to move on from this shit?
I'm good.
All right, it's time for Connor's Wicked Games. Sponsored by Chris Isaac. Every week, like Jigsaw, I like to play a little game. I am going to have to, by my estimation, create 13 games for this James Bond series. And I would like to today debut a format that I have no idea if we'll ever return to. It is called Dr. No, Mr. Yes, and Professor Maybe. And this time they are around the world. I have a series of questions based on the locales and Dr. No and From Russia with Love that you will answer no, yes, or maybe. That's pretty straightforward. Correct no's and yeses get you 2 points. Incorrect no's and yeses lose you 1 point. Correct maybes. And you can't go below 0 points. Correct maybes get you a +1 multiplier, while incorrect maybes get you a -1 multiplier, and you can never go below 1.
Now, wait a minute. What is a correct or incorrect maybe?
So like if you guess maybe and it's correct, you get a +1 multiplier. If you guess maybe,
Okay, so like maybe would be a correct answer.
Yes, there are.
Maybe it's like your neutral response essentially.
Yeah. Well, there are 11 questions here, and the answer to all of them is yes, no, or maybe.
I get it. Okay. See, I thought you could just say maybe, and then you're either right or
No.
So one of the answers, what the correct answer could be maybe as opposed to yes or no.
And you can abstain from a question if you don't want to risk your points and stuff. But like I said, you basically have a 1 out of 3 chance on every single one of these. So let's start with Jason. Question 1. They're gonna get less and less Bond related as they go on. Well, actually, they're kind of organized. The first half are Dr. No, and they're gonna get less Bond related as they go on, and then it'll get into like the From Russia with Love ones. And I couldn't really figure out a way to organize them via difficulty this time because all the questions it is like a 1 out of 3 chance. But anyways, question 1.
And
Jason,
you said I can't go below 0.
You can't go below 0.
So if I get this wrong, does that leave me neutral?
It leaves you neutral. Yes.
Okay. This is the one to get wrong then.
Were both of these first 2 Bond films shot at Pinewood Studios in London? This is a studio where many later Bond films would definitely be shot. And obviously, when I say that, I mean the stage stuff, not the location stuff. Jason?
I don't know, but I'm going to say no.
Bri?
I'm gonna say no, just like the doctor.
Luna?
I'm also going to go with no.
Scott?
I'm going to follow the group and say no.
Well, you're all stupid. It's yes, they were. They started immediately. The tradition immediately started.
I clearly can answer. I'm jumping off that bridge with Jason.
Yeah, like lemmings. Bri, Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I'm going to take your attention and direct it to the second question. Was Dr. No the first non-Jamaican film to be filmed in Jamaica?
What year again was it, Dr. No?
62.
Yeah, sure, yes.
Luna?
Also, yes.
Scott?
Maybe.
Jason?
Yeah, this sounds like a maybe to me.
Well, congrats, everyone. You're all wrong. It wasn't. It was definitely not.
Oh man.
It was movies. Non-Jamaican movies have been shot in Jamaica as early as the 1910s.
Wow.
I don't know why I even asked for the year. Like, that would make a difference.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, oh, that's right. This is when they...
Yeah,
No,
Dr.
bro.
No is like the 100th non-Jamaican film to be shot in Jamaica. Luna,
Pretty unoriginal, Dr. No.
yeah. Luna, Bermuda, Bahama. Come on, pretty mama. Tell me, is Crab Key a real Jamaican island?
I'm sorry, one more time? What the...
Is Crab Key a real Jamaican island? I didn't say anything before that.
The only crab key I'm aware of is in Final Fantasy, so I'm gonna go with no.
Scott?
I'll also say no.
Jason?
No.
And Bri?
Let's all do it together. No, no, no.
2 points for everyone. In fact, Crab Key is a fictional island. I forget. I should have written down. I usually like to do that. But one more rule that I've had to wait till question 3 to introduce. You can spend a point to have an answer eliminated. So you can spend one of your points. Each correct answer is worth 2 points or a multiplier. And so you only have to spend 1 point to get an answer eliminated.
The stakes are much higher from this point on. We can lose points now.
Yes, you can begin losing points. Scott, Key Largo, Montego, baby, why don't we go ahead and do this next question? Is Fleming's Jamaican estate named Goldeneye located nearby to where Dr. No was filmed?
No.
Jason?
I'll go with no.
Bri?
Maybe?
And Luna?
I'm also going to say maybe.
Well, Jason and Scott, you've lost 1 point. For your maybe guesses, you don't have a multiplier to use, but nobody got it right. It was yes, it was indeed. It was basically in his backyard. In fact, I think Live and Let Die and 1 or 2 others were shot near Goldeneye, and he was actually writing on Her Majesty's Secret Service at the time. And he really liked Connery, which is why in that book he established that Bond had Scottish heritage, which is neat. Jason, final Kokomo reference was Christopher Columbus, the colonizer and first European to see Jamaica, a Virgo.
Oh, come on. Yes.
Bri?
I don't know. Maybe.
Luna?
Yes?
Scott?
Yes.
Well, congrats, Bri. You're winning right now because it is, in fact, maybe. We don't know exactly when Columbus was born. He was either a Virgo or Libra, or he might have actually been a Scorpio. He was born sometime between late August and the end of October.
It was just a loaded fact card that I was like, I don't know. It could be. Something in there could be.
Yeah. Bri, was Dr. No the story originally conceived to promote the Jamaican tourism industry?
I hope no.
Luna?
I also hope no.
Scott?
I will also hope no.
And Jason?
No.
Unfortunately, you're all wrong. It indeed was created to promote the Jamaican tourism industry. I think he was already living there. He's already retired there at the time, and someone local. There's a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of Bond stories that were actually like unused pilots for like different shows. that Fleming was tasked to write, essentially. All right, now we're really getting into like these next ones have nothing to do with Bond. Basically, it just has to do with locations.
Life knowledge.
Luna, Let A, the club that Bond meets Trench in at the top of Doctor No, where we meet Bond for the first time, is located in the affluent Mayfair area of London. Was Mayfair settled by the Romans before they established the original city of London closer to the Thames River?
Did Rome colonize London?
They definitely did. The first version of Rome, I'll go ahead and confirm this. The first version of London is called Roman London.
Okay, in that case, yes.
Scott?
I'm going to say yeah. Sounds good to me.
Jason?
Definitely.
I'm gonna go with maybe.
Bri?
I'm with team. We're going yes. Everybody going over.
Well, congrats, Jason. It is indeed maybe. Historians disagree.
Honestly, just disagree with anything I say for the rest of the game. I think I'm the curse of this game.
Scott, the Hagia Sophia is visited by Tanya and Bond when the plans for the Russian consulate are passed. At the time, it was a museum, but it has since been converted back into its original purpose, a mosque. Is a cat buried in the garden?
Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, probably.
Jason?
It's probably an option. I feel like that.
Yeah.
Like, not quite yes, but a little bit more than maybe. Like,
I'll guess yes.
Bri?
I like the maybe. This is like Schrodinger's Bond.
Luna?
I'm gonna also go with yes, and I hope the garden is haunted.
In fact, it is yes. Her name is Glee, and she has a Wikipedia article.
Wonderful.
Bri, I think we started with Jason last time, right? Am I right about that? Or no, we started with Scott.
Me.
Not Tom. Yeah. Okay, so Jason, was the famous Basilica Cistern that Bond and Kareem Bey travel through actually built by Emperor Constantine, as Bey suggests? Was the famous cistern that Bond and Kareem Bey travel through actually built by Emperor Constantine, as Bey suggests?
I'm gonna say no.
Bri?
Yes.
Luna?
Maybe.
Scott?
yes.
Congrats, Luna. It is, in fact, maybe. Part of it was probably built by Constantine, but the structure, as of now, was largely built later. But they are unsure. Bri, if one wanted to reach the location in Scotland where they filmed Bond diving out of the way of the helicopter, would you take an exit between Kilmartin and Coleraine?
No.
Luna?
Yes.
Scott?
Nah. No.
Jason?
That's not what we want to get off.
I'll say maybe, because maybe you want to take the long way, maybe you want to take the direct way.
That's a good point.
Well, the no's have it. Obviously, you have to take the exit between Kilmartin and Lochgilphead. Colerane's on the other side of Scotland.
Obviously, yeah.
It didn't sound right to me.
And then lastly, Luna, From Russia with Love ends with Tanya and Bond in the boat in front of the Piazza San Marco in Venice. Was this public square once called the Drawing Room of Europe by Napoleon Bonaparte?
I sure hope so, yes.
Scott?
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna do a final maybe.
Jason?
I'm gonna say no.
And Bri?
I'm gonna say yes. Why not?
It was maybe. Once again, another historical thing that was disputed. Let me tally up these these scores. Timesing 0 by anything is 0. Luna and Jason, I'm sorry, but you guys have 0 points unless do not qualify for a medal.
Dang it.
Darn.
Bri, you get a silver medal, and Scott with 1 point, Bri, and with 2 points, Scott, you get the gold medal.
Number one.
Rigged again. That's the way the game goes.
Rigged again.
Again.
Well, real quick, let's do another Dune date.
Wow.
I haven't read any of Dune since the last time we talked about it.
Hell yeah. Good segue.
All right, welcome to Scott's Comic Corner, brought to you by Eric Clapton and Q Branch. Is that a rocket in our pocket, or are we just happy to see you? So the big event going on in DC right now is DC KO. Issue 2 came out last week. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah,
I'm really enjoying this whole series. Basic storyline is that Darkseid won in the future, and he's going back in time and making his victory more part of the timeline. So the heroes need to become King Omega. That's what KO stands for. And by doing that, they have to all fight in a tournament, and it's winner takes all. And so it's going to be heroes fighting heroes, but of course some villains jump in. Issue 2, the basic plot line is there's 32 heroes or villains in a tournament. They all have to find their own weapon, and it's offshoot of different kinds of weapons of DC characters. Mm-hmm. And once there's only 16, and once those 16 are found, the other 16 don't have it. Mm-hmm. And so now December is going to be Fight Month in DC. So there's going to be a bunch of issues. Some side issues, like next week, or tomorrow actually, is going to be DC KO Superman versus Captain Atom. Nice. But then, like, Superman, Flash, Aquaman, and Titans, their issue of the month will be a fight. But there's going to be other side issues, like Joker versus Red Hood, will be its own issue you have to pick up. So, yeah, there's been good tie-ins. Superman, that'd be one. If you're going to do one tie-in, I'd recommend this one. Mm-hmm. That seems to kind of tie into the plot of what's going on.
Well, especially because Superman seems like he's kind of the main character of DC KO in a way.
It does. It is going to be a Superman story. So, yeah. Plus, Joshua Williams, who's writing Superman, helped kind of plot this whole storyline, even though Scott Snyder is writing it. I'm also picking up Flash just because I've never really read Flash comics before, just for the tie-in issues. It's going on his own little adventure.
Nice.
Fun Flash it. Oh, yeah. And then the other big thing that came out recently was Deadpool Batman.
Yeah, I still haven't read it yet.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Grant Morrison writes the main one, and the other stories are a lot of fun, but the Deadpool Batman one is really good. I got a few of the covers. This one, if you open it, you can see Batman's in there.
Oh, yeah.
And then a mixture. It's got my
the ladies. Oh yeah. Nice.
And then my personal favorite is this one.
Nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, Doom would not like the Joker.
No, they would not get along at all. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't care for each other one bit. Yeah. Well, so anybody have anything else? I love good motherfucking into genocide and Palestine, so everywhere else. Luna and I have both just we finished The Chair Company. Just finished the season 1. Yeah. It's gotten renewed for season 2. Tim Robinson's.
It is wild and doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it has Lou Diamond Phillips doing karaoke and then getting upset that he didn't choose the right song.
Yeah. It's got lots of great. It's really good. People should check it out if you like Tim Robinson.
I'm about halfway through, and I've enjoyed what I've seen.
Yeah.
The last episode I got to was sort of the flashback episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I got to jump back in because I really enjoyed it.
And then we also, I was a rewatch, and I know it was the first watch for you, Luna, but we just watched X-Men 97 as well, and rewatching that, fucking great, really good.
Yeah. Always fucking good.
Very, very good. Made me really appreciate Magneto as a character.
Yeah.
I guess I'll do a shout out. I just finished Parks and Recreation.
Nice.
Great show. It was really nice, fun doing that rewatch. And now I'm starting up on 30 Rock, so really looking forward to that.
Hell yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I
30
do that.
Rock is definitely worth it. There is a Donald Glover cameo that you're going to miss if you aren't like intently listening.
I've already got to a couple. Yeah, one he was listed as like Donald Glover Jr. or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've seen him in one episode so far. But I know he comes in a couple. He pops up in a couple.
Yeah. I think actually he mostly just does a very, very specific song with Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is very fun. I do enjoy my workplace sitcoms.
Oh yeah. Well, James Bond Club is going to continue in January, just because everyone's over the holidays. It should be mid-January probably, with Goldfinger, Thunderball, and I'm gonna see if I can find the original version. I don't know if it exists, but if people don't know, the TV show The Man from U.N.C.L.E. was originally called Ian Fleming's Napoleon Solo. It was, and for a long time, that first episode, the pilot movie, was going to be just called Fleming's Solo at a certain point. And so
Maybe.
What?
I'm gonna answer maybe on that one.
No, though that is true. That is true. So that'll be interesting to watch. And maybe I'll watch a little more of the series. So it'll probably be just like Man from U.N.C.L.E. and some of the 60s stuff that came out. I might try to watch a couple episodes of the old 60s Mission Impossible as well. But next episode, before Christmas, we're doing the 5th annual Christmas special. It's not the 5th annual Christmas special, it's the 5th annual Christmas special, the special for the 5th annual Christmas. We're going to be talking about Christie, obviously, and I think we're gonna spice it. I think it's gonna be like a little mix, little grab bag of other movies. I think we're gonna talk about The Astrologer, because that's an Eminem classic that we just watched. I need to hit up Edwin. I think I just did, with like yo dude, like what's a Christmas movie we can watch and talk about. Maybe I think I might just throw in.
I can't wait to hear his recommendation.
And I think we'll throw in, just for the fun of it, I've been thinking, let's just talk about The Running Man, because I watched that and it doesn't really fit with our Oscar movie talks. But
did you watch the original one yet?
I want to before we do that episode.
Maybe do that, like, because that would be an interesting, like,
The Running Man.
The biggest like discussion about that movie is just that it's like the 80s one. It's just what the 80s one is, the aesthetic, everything with it, because the modern one just feels like a modern take, like almost the way Total Recall felt. In a weird way, that like that kind of vibe. So I'd be curious about your take to go into that podcast.
But I want to thank Bri here for our outro, composing our outro, and I want to say follow us, smash that like button, like and subscribe. Follow us on social media at CinemaCurse666 on TikTok and Instagram. Recommend this episode to your local station chief. And I think that's I think that's just about it. I guess it's time to say goodbye. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.